Today we're installing our body mount relocation kit on our 2nd gen All-Pro Tacoma. This kit is useful if you need clearance for larger tires, as it relocates the body mount completely behind the firewall. So the first step is you're going to want to take your tire off just to gain additional clearance to the body mount. For the next step, we're going to remove the floor mat so we can gain access to the trim panel and the kick panel. We're going to need to remove these so we can gain access to the body mount bolt to loosen it. The trim panel is held in place with snaps. To remove it, you're just going to need to pull up. Next, you're going to need to remove the plastic nut holding the kick panel on, and then you can pull the kick panel off. After you've removed the kick panel, you can now pull the carpet back so that you can gain access to the rubber plug covering the body mount bolt. To remove this plug, simply pop it out. To remove the body mount bolt, you'll need a 19mm socket on the head of the bolt and a 17mm wrench for the nut on the bolt. Since this truck already has a body mount chop kit installed, we can't show you footage of clearancing the firewall, but here's some footage from our 3rd gen Tacoma, which is very similar. I will now mark the fender well to be cut. You will also need to mark the fender to be trimmed. This will vary between different models. You will want to do something similar to what we have shown. The fender cut should be on a similar plane to the body mount cut. The pinch weld should also be bent over. To do this, cut the pinch weld as shown, being careful not to cut through the firewall, and hammer over. Use paint or undercoating to paint the firewall. The next step is going to be removing the body mount. To do this, you can use a plasma cutter, a cutting torch, sawzall, or an angle grinder. If you use a sawzall or an angle grinder, you're probably going to have to remove the bracket in sections. For the purpose of today's video, we're going to be using an angle grinder. Since I'm going to be using an angle grinder and cutoff wheel, I'm going to try to remove the bracket in sections. My idea is to cut here, 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 and here. I'm also going to transfer those cuts onto the back side of the bracket so I can remove the bottom and create 2 windows here so I can gain access to this top cut up here near the frame. Before cutting the body mount, use a jack stand to support the weight of the body. Alright, so now we're going to get cutting. When you're done grinding, you can go ahead and put the body mount bolt back through the hole. Try and get it in the center of the hole, as the hole is quite oversized. Then you're going to want to use 1 bushing and the body mount bracket. Slide that through the bolt. And you can use the shadow of the old bushing to center the new bushing. And then you're just going to want to outline the areas that you need to clear the paint off so you can get a nice clean weld. Once you're done cleaning the paint off the frame, you can go ahead and slide the upper body mount bushing, the body mount relocation bracket, the lower bushing, the washer, and the nut over the body mount bolt, and use the nut to secure it in place. Once you're done loosely assembling the body mount assembly, you can use the 9mm hex at the bottom of the bolt to tighten the assembly. What you're going to want to do is use a 17mm wrench to hold the bolt and spin the 9mm hex counterclockwise to tighten the assembly. Once you got the body mount assembly snug, you can go ahead and verify that the body mount bolt is passing through the center of the hole by checking it against the shadow of the old bushing. Once that's good, you can go ahead and tighten it up. After you've got the body mount snugged up, you're going to want to torque it to 35 foot-pounds. Once you've got the body mount assembly tightened, you're going to want to go ahead and push it up against the frame and tack weld it into place. You want these tacks to be pretty sturdy so that way it doesn't pull or warp when you're doing the finish welding. Once you've got it tacked in place, just go ahead and double check that you don't have any gaps that are too large to weld. If so, you may want to break those tacks and either grind on the bracket a little bit or reposition the bracket. While doing your finish welding, you're going to want to do it in sections so you don't melt the bushings. When finish welding, you'll be able to weld both the inside and the outside of the front and the rear of the bracket. However, you will only be able to weld the inside of the top portion of the bracket. When you're done finish welding, we recommend cutting the body mount bolt so that it does not hang below the body mount bracket. Once you finish welding and the welds have cooled off, you can go ahead and cover the bare metal with some paint. Before lowering the vehicle, be sure to remove whatever stand you had holding up the body. Once you're done with the body mount, you just got to replace all the interior components, starting with the rubber plug. All that's left to do now is to replace the tire and hit the trails. Let me do it again because I kind of paint the professional videoer. Like, I have it and it doesn't work. Body mount chop, body mount, body mount, body mount, body mount.